Hello, friends. Welcome back to another episode of the Mindful CEO. It's Chris Angel and Aaron Hendon coming at you for, man, I would say almost our 120th episode.
Oh my gosh.
It's close to that. It's not, it might be 118, 119, but
I can't wait till we get to 420 and that'll be,
that's right. Oh,
we'll have to,
man.
have to fire one up.
That's right. That's right.
Um, yeah,
Welcome back, by
this
the
is,
way.
what's that?
Welcome back.
Thanks.
You were just
Yeah.
gone for 9 days.
I was gone for 9 days. So let's talk about where I went and how that went. So first of all, this is sort of a disclaimer. I think we got to put a
Yeah.
disclaimer on this show. This is, this show is not going to be safe for kids as if any of them, as if
As
any
if
of them
any.
are. Right. Um, but yeah, we're going to talk about sex, and how it relates to business, but not sex from how you just heard sex.
Right. Right,
You know,
right.
right? People hear sex like that. We talk about this. So people hear sex, and in our culture, you hear getting laid
Right. Yeah.
and not the cultivating of the energy
Yeah.
around the commingling of energies between two people and what's
Mhm.
possible there. So I just got back from a 9 day or 7 day tantric retreat, and mostly either people go, Tantra, what's that? No idea what it is. Or Tantra, that's some, sex orgy Kama Sutra thing,
Right,
right?
right.
And it's not really that. Or they know what it is and they're like, oh, what's that? What'd you get? So so
Uh-huh.
let's go down the middle path. Well, first let's go down, it's not a sex orgy. And it's not,
Right, right.
yeah, although I mean I'm sure it is clearly connected to the Kama Sutra. It's just not when we approach that kind of thing from a Western standpoint, or from our standard. I'll just keep using Western as the
Mm.
label. Um, just because you got to label it something, to
Yeah.
talk about it. Um, we hear it from, oh, those positions or that phenomenon will, I don't know, have something to do with my getting laid. It's just
Right.
it all winds up about getting laid. And the thing I think you and I found most interesting in planning this show, which is now what I'm calling the work that we just did, is planning.
Plan. Yeah, I mean,
Right?
yeah, right.
Chris and I spent 20 or 20 minutes, before the show talking about what we're going to talk about. And now that constitutes planning. So
Planning doesn't have to look a certain way, Aaron.
exactly. Right. Let go. Let go. Um,
Allow surrender. Just
Allow surrender.
we
Right.
plan how we plan.
Exactly. Oh, I was going to go somewhere before I was making fun of us. Um, oh,
That's
how
the
hustle culture has defines our Western idea of sex.
well, right.
It all becomes, you know, and so where this is going to tie into what we normally talk about, or the work that matters to people listening, how this applies to my creating anything in life, my being the CEO of my life, is, the degree to hustle culture or goal orientation or getting somewhere or having it turn out a particular way or what it needs to look like is all over how we relate to sex.
Mm,
It's just a really clear, it's an easy, well, it's a simple, not necessarily easy, but it's a simple place to see it. You know,
yeah.
um, we, one thing I discovered over the course of the last few years in practicing Tantra is nobody is satisfied with their body.
Mm, mm,
Nobody
mm,
is okay with how they look.
mm.
That's, if you just sit with that for a minute, if we just stay there for a minute and dealt with the impact and the cost on your aliveness and how you operate in the world, how we operate in the world, how I operate in the world, the cost on my aliveness of not being okay with the vehicle
Mm.
that I'm I am stuck with.
Uh-huh.
I get to have, the vehicle that what I move around in, and the constant background of there's something wrong with it.
Mm,
If
mm.
you just sit with the impact of that, It's wild the amount of energy that we waste on that world.
Yeah.
And there's literally no one I've met that's okay.
Yeah.
And that's a, that's on one hand, that like language descends upon us. That's everything from advertising to what we see bodies look like in the movies, to the influx of porn, to,
Right.
which is as close, advertising gets as close to that as it possibly can, to every image, every idea, every myth, the mythos of the ideal body, what the standard that men and women, I mean, we talk all the time about the standards women have to hold up.
Hmm.
And as there's what, 30 supermodels on the planet,
Out
right?
of 7 billion, 8 billion
Out of
people.
7 billion, there's
Yeah.
30 that have a body that's considered ideal at any given time. What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
There's 30 human beings, right? Or men, you know, they were, I was, this is a great, I don't know how he is as a writer because I've never read his books, but I see his social media feed all the time. Jason Paragon. I don't know if you ever seen this guy. He does a little talking head video. So he's got a green screen of something in the background. He's always talking about something that's of interest to him. It's a pretty, he's a good watch, And one of the things he was talking about is the amount of work that Brad Pitt or Paul Rudd or any of the superheroes
Uh-huh.
had to put in to get the bodies they get in the movies. Like the amount of
Mm.
work Brad Pitt had to put in to get the body of, what was he, Hercules, in the movie
Achilles. He was
Achilles,
Achilles. Yeah.
or Paul Rudd had to put in to be Ant-Man.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
that's like a year of eating chicken breasts and egg whites for breakfast, and that's it.
All right.
Like the obscene amount of work one needs to do to achieve what's
Mm.
considered the ideal male body, which is I can personally relate to. I don't know what women, I don't have that personal physical experience, but I know, I can easily imagine, and I think it's magnitudes of order harder, worse for women than it is for men. I just
Yeah.
100%. This is, if there's any, the women listening, you should know I'm very clear. Your societal standards are ridiculously more stringent
Yeah.
than the male standard. And, that makes you just start to deal with the not okayness
Mm.
that we walk around with,
Hmm.
how heavy that is to not be okay with your body.
Mm. Mm. Yeah.
That's that's hardcore. That's a lot of energy and a lot of time and a lot of, it's very, it's why when we do body scans, in living a grateful life, it's so impactful for people
Mm.
to just get, this is the way my body feels.
Mm.
And we're constantly letting go of judgment, mindfulness, many, many levels, right? Tantra is mindfulness for sex. It's mind, just leave it at that. So first
Yeah.
one, and when I talk about sex, when I'm talking about sex in a tantric attitude, it's not getting laid. That's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about the act of you mating,
Right. Right.
you know,
Right.
of getting some. I'm talking about the act of you connecting and being intimate and with another human being or with yourself. Really, you got to start with yourself. But the act of you being intimate with another is so gripped in that. And that when that's unleashed, I mean, one of the benefits I think I've discovered in Tantra is the attitude of Tantra, how applicable it is to everything. But when you unleash it or you free it, in the space of sex, it opens up this world where not, you get, if you can be okay with yourself, it's so much easier to be okay with anything, or
Yeah.
certainly the reverse is true. If you're not okay with yourself, it's virtually impossible to really be okay
Mm.
with anything, because who's there is there's something wrong with me.
Right.
So
Right.
all that stuff gets addressed and healed and looked at. Um, in this. So that's a little bit of a background of where this is coming from, is why we wanted to bring it up, because um, it's a great place to, I have discovered this as a great place to um, amplify the work that we're doing together. Because so let's just get into the Tantric Attitude, because I think it's
Yeah.
the most, um, when I saw it for the first time a few years back, I was like, oh, that's everything I want to master in life.
Mm.
And if I
The tantric
The
attitude.
Tantric Attitude, which we'll
Yeah.
talk about in a second. But my experience of it, my thought about it, and then my experience of it was, wow. And if I get to use my partnership with my wife to explore that, it
Mm.
becomes, the difference it makes becomes amplified, because, I don't have anything more important than my relationship with her. And if you're
Hmm.
listening and you're not in relationship, then this is in relationship to you to be able to attract the person. Because if there's something wrong with you, it's very unlikely you know, it's much more difficult to attract what you want. Or it becomes, let's just put it this way, it's
Mm.
infinitely easier to be a clearing when you know, you let go.
Right.
So the Tantric Attitude, these are the seven,
Yeah.
yeah, seven aspects of a Tantric Attitude. And again, attitude, as we're distinguishing it, is, I like to use it in the navigational sense, like airplane or a boat. Its
Uh-huh.
attitude,
Mm.
its orientation towards a point on the horizon.
Mm.
And so this attitude of, there's the 7 points of it: learn self-love, drop guilt, enjoy spontaneity, cultivate pleasure, discover meditation, give up goal orientation, allow surrender. And I think
Those
we
are the
talk
seven.
about, yeah, those are seven. And we talk about those all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
we just don't talk about it in the domain. But if you bring those into the domain of your relationships, and you bring that into the domain of what, for you is sex today, there's a, it's way more fun. I can tell you that.
Yeah. There, I mean, in those seven, there's obviously the context of sex. You can hear like how those seven tenets would impact your relationship to your partner and sex, et cetera. But I also can hear it's, and this is why I think you said it earlier, like, man, these are everything I want to learn and master. These are the thing, like, this isn't, these seven things aren't sex specific. Learn
No,
self love, drop guilt, enjoy spontaneity. This is not sex specific. And so I think there's some really rich um, uh, guidances or attitudes that transcend the sex. And so I like, I just think sometimes business gets so starchy. It gets so like, oh, let's talk about profit and loss statements versus we don't talk about let's drop guilt. Like, hey, in business, as a CEO, let's drop guilt. We're like, how many people are constantly being taskmasters of themselves because it's not good enough? I need to do more. Somebody else is better than me. I feel guilty for not being better than I am. It's just,
how many, just let's take them apart, right? Like, let's
yeah.
just start with dropping guilt, because that's, I would think that's the source of the 80-hour work week to a
Mm,
large extent,
yeah,
right? Like,
that's
how many
good.
CEOs feel guilty
Mm,
for not putting in more time? And then
mm.
you feel guilty because you're neglecting your family. And then, or
Yeah.
you're with your family and you feel guilty because you're not at work. That's, or
Mhm.
you did that report, or you didn't make that sale, or you did this and it wasn't up to the standard, or it didn't, that
Yeah.
house didn't close or whatever. And now you
Mhm.
experience guilt, which
Mhm.
is not a useful experience. I mean, it's not a helpful experience. It doesn't
Mm.
provide any value.
Yeah.
There's nothing useful about walking around feeling guilty. It
Right.
doesn't, it's not going to help you produce the result next time.
Right.
Right. I
Right.
mean, in terms of utility, I love utility.
Mhm.
And I just love utility. I'm like, what's
Mhm.
the point? Why am I studying this? Okay, so so I think that is self-evident, right? Then you get to, all right, give up goal orientation. Okay, well,
Mm.
utility versus goal orientation. Is there again, this is the ultimate Buddhist paradox, right? The Buddha
Mhm.
sat with a desire to lose desire. You're going
Yeah.
to give up guilt, but not to get somewhere, but you're looking for what's useful about this, um, but you're not doing it in order to
Right.
get this specific goal,
Yeah.
right? What are you doing it for? You're doing it because it is, I mean, in everything that we talk about, you're giving up guilt because it feels better to live a guilt-free life. You're more likely to attract that which feels good. If guilt is hanging on to the way it should have been, the way it could have been, the way you should have done it, the way they should, all that shit isn't going to attract
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
world that you want. You're not going to get
Right.
it from feeling guilty about not having done it. No, but if you
Right.
practice giving up goal orientation, dropping guilt is a little bit easier because there was no place to get in the first place.
Yeah. 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 That goal orientation part, like, if you apply that to sex, you think, oh, like I'm gonna get laid, I'm gonna have an orgasm, I'm gonna whatever. But I think sometimes that can really block the connection that could be there. If all you're focused on is the goal, you're missing so much of the color and the texture of the experience of life. I mean, it's the same in business. If you're just trying to hit the KPIs, you're going to miss a lot of the richness and texture of the relationships you get to have in business. You
Yeah.
just I see that in myself. I love people. I really love to hear about them, connect with them. But and in the space of trying to get somewhere, it's very easy for me to move past those kinds of connections and conversations in the name of getting somewhere.
Yeah.
And I'm wired for people. So I'm just saying, like, I'm more sensitive to want to connect with people, and I still move past that in the name of getting somewhere.
Yeah, get it. And that's such a huge part of what, our mission is slaying the dragon of hustle culture, one
Mm.
mindful moment at a time, paying
Hmm.
attention in the moment
Yeah.
on purpose
Yeah.
without judgment. And, that's the freedom that we're talking about, is to sit in the moment, which then leads directly to allowing surrender. Like, can you
Yeah.
just surrender to the moment? Can you just be
Mm-hmm.
in the moment?
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that whatever is next. I was listening to someone else popped up on my feed. Obviously, the algorithm feeds me what I watch, right? Which is interesting. Oh, I
Yeah.
love that as a metaphor for life. Holy shit. How have we never fucking heard that before? How have we never fucking heard that metaphor before, Chris?
Say it. Maybe we
That
did. Say it
the
again.
algorithm provides more of what you're already watching.
Uh-huh.
You click on something and you watch it all the way to the end. The algorithm feeds you more of that.
Ooh, the universe, aka the algorithm. Oh my God, the singularity is happening.
Fucking, it's totally happening, Chris, right here. Like, how have we never made that connection before?
The
You know,
universe is the algorithm. Oh my God.
go look at your For You page and look at what is being offered to you. That's what you keep clicking on.
Oh, funny.
Fuck. Okay, stick a pin in it.
That's
We just fucking close that shit down.
so funny.
I'm so happy with that metaphor. That's fucking good. That's so good. Yeah. So the algorithm keeps feeding me these uh, uh, various people, Sadhguru, and I forget this
Mm,
woman's name because I just saw her for the first time today. I don't know where she came from, but I'm now following her because She was brilliant. And
Mhm.
um, she was, oh, what was I going to share about her? Um, oh,
You,
something
yeah,
happens. Yeah, something happens in the moment, and we have a thought this shouldn't be happening. No one's immune from that, right?
yeah.
There's no one who's like, what are you talking about? I've never had that. I was like, that's not, what are you talking about? That's not a thing for me.
You mean like an
Um,
inappropriate thought, or you mean like just
no, like
a
this shouldn't be
competing thought?
happening. Like I just got, so my internet's not working today. Like my,
Oh, the
we could
thought
just,
is this shouldn't be happening.
yeah, the thought is this
Got it.
shouldn't be happening. And what she was saying about it was, um, what we don't see is that the mind has just become, and I've said this before, but it just hit me newly when I heard it coming back at me was, you're saying this shouldn't be happening has just your mind has become the judge and the jury
Mm,
about life.
mm, mm. Oh, I saw you repost her today. I saw the
Yes.
clip of, I
Yes.
saw, yeah, yeah, that was great. That was great.
Great, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like what, excuse me?
yeah.
Like your mind has just become the the decider of what's
The
supposed to
decider.
happen.
Yeah, yeah,
How the fuck who the fuck made you king?
yeah.
Right? Where the fuck did that come from? And then we
That's good.
believe it.
Yeah,
We believe this shouldn't be happening. It's not even there's no choice in this. There's no selection. There's no this happens in an instant.
yeah,
It's constant. And from a landmark perspective, that's obviously, there's something wrong here is the
right.
fundamental orientation, right? So, but we say there's something wrong here, and we say it as if it were true,
Mm, mhm,
as if it
mhm.
were rocks are hard, water's wet kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
And it's an assessment. We literally just made that up.
yeah.
Whatever's happening in the moment is what's happening. It's not supposed to be happening or not supposed to be happening. That's not even,
Mhm,
it has nothing to do with it. It's happening.
mm, mm.
And this is everything that we work on in mindfulness. This is everything out of
Right.
living a grateful life is that allowing and accepting and being aware of our thought about it's not supposed to be and allowing and accepting the thought without doing anything about it and
Yeah.
noticing it, becoming the observer of it, becoming the witness to it, and
Mm,
watching it without judgment. Without judgment. I mean, that's the mindful, that's what makes
yeah.
something mindful is that you're noticing it without judgment. But here we are noticing it with judgment and without even questioning the judgment.
Because it's right, because it's true.
It's not, it's so fucking weird that this is the design. I mean, and obviously from a natural selection standpoint, fine, I get it. I get the mechanism, it allows you to survive as long, you are going to you're going to take yourself out of situations that are physically threatening more quickly if you believe the mind, the instantaneous
Yeah.
judgment, there's something wrong. If the bushes rustle and you think it's a tiger, you will get the fuck out of the way. But you're
Yeah.
also going to miss, you know,
Right.
the
Yeah.
rabbit that you could have had, like all of that stuff. You miss all the opportunities, many opportunities because you miss many opportunities for happiness because you've already written them off as there's something wrong here.
Right.
In business you miss many opportunities for growth or for sales or
Yeah.
for increasing being able to provide something because you've already decided. So slowing
And we've
down and I think allowing surrender fits right into that. Like, okay, in the
yeah.
moment, can I just
Yeah.
surrender to this moment? This is how it is.
Yeah. 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 I
Surrender
hear some
is
Rick Rubin in there just a little bit, the creative act. Like
very much so.
I think well, and we've also talked about a couple times the mental health, I would say, problem with entrepreneurship, business, like stemming from, I think, it's the guilt, the goal orientation, and not allowing surrender. Like this, something's wrong. or something's gonna be wrong. The other shoe's gonna drop. Hey, we had a good quarter, but don't let up now, because don't rest on your laurels, because you could screw it this next quarter. That is a thought that's coming from something's wrong or could be wrong, rather
or
than
avoiding
surrendering.
something wrong, right? And I love how these begin to play into each other, right? Because
Uh-huh.
from there, if you get that thought something could be wrong, right? And you start getting into that. So one, the connection I just heard was that allowing surrender and enjoying spontaneity
Mm,
begin to dovetail. Like, can you
mm,
just
mm,
be
mm-hmm,
open to this is the way it is? There was
mm,
I lost a sale maybe 3 months ago, 4 months ago. I was counting on someone listening with me, and they decided to go another direction because they're bastards. No, because whatever, they decided to go in another direction. And, there was a little bit of disappointment. There was probably 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes of disappointment, being bummed, being upset. Um, and, uh, and then the thought was, okay, well, I don't know what kind of bullet I just dodged, but
mm, mm-hmm.
you know, the universe just provided, a way out of, so, like the opportunity to enjoy spontaneity, the opportunity to go, okay, well, I don't know what the next thing is going to be, but it's going to be better than this. And let's see what
Mm,
opens up, and, let's
mm.
play with this and see what's
Yeah,
here. And
yeah,
we
yeah,
don't, spontaneity is a function of not needing to know
yeah.
what the next step is going to be.
Mm, mhm.
It's about living life as an adventure. Like, oh, can I enjoy spontaneity here? Can
Interesting.
certainly in the world of relationship
Yeah, yeah.
and in the world of sex, enjoying spontaneity is key, is, you know, a really fun thing to nurture, as is cultivating pleasure. And we get into cultivating pleasure,
Mm,
obviously, from a sex standpoint.
yeah.
Where on the list is sex in terms of the pleasure scale, right? It's if it's not right
It's,
up there,
it's got to be
it,
right up there.
yeah, you're doing it wrong, right? Um, uh,
Yeah.
but if even outside of the context of sex, cultivating pleasure is right inside of what Esther talks about all the time. Of you what how do I have this saved on my phone? How do I get back to that? How do I change my lock screens on my phone? I forget how to do this.
Oh,
No,
yeah. Just hold it down. Hold your
I
thumb
have
on
this
it.
great
Hang on.
quote.
Let me give Aaron a text tutorial. Wake it up. Hold your thumb on the lock screen, and it should give you your other lock screen options.
Oh, there it is. Okay, thank you. You can't get to where you want without feeling good along the way.
You can't get to where you want without
Without
feeling
feeling good
good
along the way.
along the way.
I mean, the basics of it's the basic tenet of
Law of attraction.
law of attraction.
Yeah.
You can't get to where you want without feeling good along the way. You can't get
In other words, if you feel bad all the way, it's not going to be where
any
you
of
want
the,
to.
yeah, it's that you're not going to wind up feeling good.
Yeah. Right,
And
right, right, right.
the end
Right.
result of Esther's like, look, the
Yeah.
whole point, anything you want, everything you want in life
Yes, yes, yes.
is a function of you think it's going to make you feel good.
Right. I want a car. I want a
Anything
car.
you want, every
Yep.
single thing you want as a
Yep.
fundamental truth is you want it because you think it's going to make you feel good,
Right, right. Yep.
right? And hard to argue with
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah.
I find no holes in that argument. I
Mm-mm.
don't,
Right.
right? Everything comes down to you think it's going to make you feel better.
Mm.
It's going to make you feel good. And her
That's great.
point is you can't get to feeling good without feeling good now,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Why
right?
wait? Don't wait to have the thing. Why don't you just have the benefit of feeling good now and then
And then
feel
you
good
get
later?
which is Dayenu, which is the whole space,
Right.
which is
That's
why
right.
I
That's great.
tattooed Dayenu on my arm because
That's
you
great.
can't get to where you want without feeling good along the way.
Yeah.
And that's really very much a space of, well, all right, then cultivate pleasure,
Yeah.
you
Right.
know,
That's
then
great. Yeah.
cultivate pleasure.
Uh-huh.
Find, which is the gratitude meditations in the
Mm.
morning, which is all the work of living a grateful life in a fucked up world is, You're not going to have life not be fucked up.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. Life's going to
Right.
be
Right.
fucked up. Can you find something to be grateful for in this moment and then cultivate the way that feels?
Mm, mm.
You will wind up with more of that. That's 1 + 1 = 2 to me. That's not, I don't, that's just fucking arithmetic. That is
Nice.
straight up, right? So cultivating pleasure fits
Yeah.
right into any context that you want.
Mm,
In the world of sex, it's enormously fun. It's just, especially if you're giving up goal orientation, right? And you
yeah.
don't no longer have to get someplace and you just surrender into cultivating pleasure. You do what feels good in this moment
Mm,
and you
mhm.
cultivate that. Sex becomes
Yeah.
really fucking good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in addition to that, you've now spent time. I mean, really,
Mm,
why I got into Tantra in the first place was like, okay, well, that would be a really good place. And energetically, given the power, okay, we're going to talk a little bit more about sex for a minute. So for those of you, that are reactivated by sex, you'll go someplace else. But given the fundamental energetic power of sex, we were,
mm.
a good friend of mine, not good enough for me to remember her name. Mostly because I'm old and did a lot of drugs. I can't remember people's names. This is embarrassing now, Catherine. Anyway,
That's okay. But she made a t-shirt.
she makes t-shirts and she made this great t-shirt that Kale had. It said, I started as an oh, it was she was wearing it when she was pregnant because it said, I started as an orgasm. Right. And she's now I have my wife pregnant and she has a t-shirt. It says, I
Oh,
started as an orgasm and she's 8 months pregnant like that.
oh my God.
And it was just so cute. But that is a fact. That's just a fact. You listening today started as an orgasm. That's not, there is no more common connection between you and I, between
Yeah.
all human beings, is that we came from an orgasm,
Hmm.
which universally is accepted as feeling good.
Yeah. Right.
Orgasms feel good. Are we going to argue? Are we going to have a fight about
No.
that?
No.
Right. No,
No.
no one's
No
fighting me.
argument here.
No one's fighting me about that. Right. So you came from feeling good.
Mm.
Oh, there's a pun there. Okay. Right. There's a double
Well, I
entendre
didn't
there.
catch it till you said it, but
Okay,
yeah,
got
yeah,
it.
I
There's
got
a
it.
double, but your origin story
Hmm.
began with feeling good.
Right.
And we're
Hmm.
talking about nurturing that,
Right. Right.
cultivating that,
Cultivate.
having
Yeah.
that be the foundation of life,
Mm,
which goes back to,
mm,
you know, we you don't put I just discovered for myself that I have been trying to put Tantra into my existing life, and the opportunity is to put my life into Tantra. But let's
mm,
take Tantra out for a second, which is, Tantra really is just is a yogic practice, and yoga means yoke, to tie yourself to something.
mm.
We think of yoga as asana yoga. When someone
Right.
says yoga, they think of postures,
Postures. Yeah.
right? But there's other kinds of yoga. Okay, there's Kundalini yoga, and Kundalini yoga is really moving the energy in your body, right? I don't think that we have many listeners that are going to argue, well, what do you mean energy?
Right.
I
Right. Right.
think we're
Yeah.
all fairly in tune with, we have energetic bodies that are distinct from our physical bodies.
Hmm.
And so Kundalini yoga is that kind of yoga. Tantra yoga is the marriage of spirit, mind, and body. And
Hmm.
sex is the fundamental purpose of a body. I mean, the human beings, all living beings, exist to reproduce. That's all.
Mm,
The
mm,
driving force of all life is to create more life. That is the
mm,
driving force of your life. So to harness that, what is already the driving force of your life, the
mm.
most potent form of energy you have, the
Yeah.
whole literal biological, and you could argue spiritual, but certainly biological purpose of life is to reproduce. That's the most potent form of energy there is that you
Mm.
have access to. So, you know, harnessing that
Yeah.
is pretty fucking useful, um, in terms of utility, right?
Right. Yeah. Right.
Um, and that's so tantric yoga is about yoking,
Hmm.
spirit, mind, and body. And body
Mm, mm,
includes not just the asanas, because we do all kinds of different meditations, but just harnessing that energetic level of yourself that's already there and harnessing that, right? Taking it, and you have to sort out all the different uh, childish conversations you are about sex, which is really useful
yeah.
because you start, you know, eliminating guilt,
Mm,
cultivating pleasure,
uh-huh. Right.
enjoying spontaneity. All these things begin to show up. And if you can get those things to show up on the most potent stage you already have,
Yeah.
pretty fucking useful. Okay, that's enough of a commercial for Tantra. Um, but the utility in terms of our eliminating hustle culture is it you can see all of these things happen in your business.
Yeah.
You can see
Right.
all of these things happen, right? Everything that we just talked about. And we haven't talked about learning self-love, but that is, and Chris, from having been and living a grateful life in a fucked up world on multiple occasions, the hardest fucking thing for people to do is to forgive themselves.
Mm,
I mean, it just comes up every single cohort that we are making ourselves wrong machines.
mm, mhm,
We aren't doing it good enough. We didn't do it right. We should have done it better. We
mm,
are, the whole thing with learning to walk. That's why I have the whole metaphor about learning to walk as the opportunity that you've got. Like you didn't learn to walk by making the child wrong when they fell. You celebrated every time they fell.
mm, mm,
Every single time you stood up and you wobbled and you fell, you celebrated.
mm.
Someone celebrated you. You didn't celebrate. You didn't have language to celebrate, really. But the people around you
Yeah.
celebrated
Mm,
every single time. And you never made yourself wrong. No one made you wrong. That wasn't a thing. That was really easy. And that's how you learned how to walk. And celebrating self love, learning self love is just a critical aspect. You've got to have grace, metta for yourself.
mm,
You've got to generate, you don't have to maximize the opportunity you have in this body, in this life, in this go round. Meta always starts with self.
and Meta is Metta, right? Meta.
Metta, not Facebook. Um, yeah, meta translates into loving kindness.
Yeah.
And we direct loving kindness to ourselves because that's and I even have in every cohort, I would say 1 out of 5,
Uh-huh.
I think 20% of people, maybe more, maybe 25% of people find it really difficult to start with themselves. It's easier for them to start with someone else loving them,
Mm,
or them loving someone else, sending loving
mm,
kindness to someone they already love before they can work up to loving themselves.
mm, mm.
If they start meta with trying to love themselves, it's a very hard, difficult process, and they don't. They get stuck in the mud there, spinning the
Yeah.
wheel. So it's a little easier to get traction by starting to love even a pet.
Mm,
Easy to
mm.
love your dog. Easy, easy, easy to have loving kindness for your pet. Um, and from there, you get a little traction, and you can start to see yourself the way your pet sees you. Your dog sees
Mm.
you, not the way your cat sees you. Your bad cat sees you as food. Um,
Mm,
but your dog fucking loves you unconditionally. And if you
yeah.
could see yourself that way and practice and cultivate that and learn that, everything from sex to business to every interaction you have gets easier.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I was hearing that as above, so below, as within, so without, just that,
ooh,
that thing like, yeah, I mean, Tantra, as you've described it here, or as people I think relate to it, it's very personal. Sex is very personal, but in these tantric attitudes, these 7 attitudes, like those those spill out into business, like we've been discussing. I just love the lesson in
yeah,
that.
super potent for people. Um, and I think that's a really big deal for them in terms of effectiveness in slaying hustle cultures. You've got to
Mm,
You can see how these things lead to themselves. And then the last one we haven't talked about is discover meditation. And I thought that was a super interesting word to use. It
Mm,
wasn't learn meditation
mm,
and it wasn't practice meditation.
mm.
It's discover meditation.
Yeah.
And I think that's fucking wonderful.
Mm,
And I am totally stealing that because,
mm.
we talk about it. There's no one who's mastered meditation. If you've mastered meditation, you're not meditating. You've gotten somewhere, you are a particular way, you're
Yeah.
good at something. It's all
Hmm.
bullshit. It's
Right.
all bullshit.
Mm,
You've got to discover it. When? Now, newly, every time you sit. Every time you sit, you're looking to discover it
mm,
because you've never been here before.
hmm. Yeah, I like that.
You're not practicing something to get better at it. And we talk about that all the time. You're not, there's no prize. You don't meditate to get good at meditation. There is no getting good at meditation. There's no fucking getting good at meditation. That's
That's a
not a
goal
thing.
orientation. That's a goal orientation.
Yeah,
That's a
there's no getting good at it. You might have a habit that you've developed that you sit, like you're more willing to break the mental
yeah.
treadmill to sit like you are. I'm more willing to break the mental treadmill to get to the gym 3 times a week. But and you can get good at whatever skill that is, deadlifts, whatever.
Right.
You know, that's a particular, thing you could practice. But meditation,
Mm,
you discover it.
mm,
And which
mm,
means, in discovery, there's something new, something unknown,
mm.
new. And it busts that. You've got to bust that. You got to separate new from improved.
Yeah.
Right, we've talked about that before, but we live in a culture in a where ordinarily the language we use is bizarre. Like we have things that can be new and improved, which is fucked up.
It's
You can't have
new and improved.
you can't have something that's new and improved. It doesn't make any sense. It's either new or it's improved. It can't
Right.
be new and improved. It's either new or it's some improvement from the past.
Right. Right.
There's no such thing as new and improved. But we live like new and improved is we don't even think twice about it,
Right. Right.
right? Because we can't handle new.
Mm, mm,
We don't know what new is. And, on a lot of levels. So, the unknown makes us uncomfortable.
mm, mm,
Uncertainty makes us uncomfortable. It's risky to to go out and
mm,
discover something because you don't know what you're going to find or if you're going to find anything.
mm, mm,
Discovery is all exploring the unknown, going
mm.
boldly, right?
Yeah.
Where no one has gone before. Um, and seeing what's there. And it takes a certain amount of courage to
Mm,
sit. But discovering meditation, I thought was a fucking great. And I didn't hear it 2.5 years ago when I first saw it there.
mm,
But this time when I saw it, I was like, oh, that is such a good word for that,
mm.
because
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really have had practice as that word.
Yeah.
And I don't, and at this point, I won't say that anymore because practicing meditation is now I'm practicing something I already know.
Mm, mm.
We're all in the world of perfect practice makes perfect. We've all heard that. And that
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
feeds into the background conversation that we are perfect practice.
Mm,
And it's not useful.
yeah.
It's counterproductive, I think, now that I'm
Mm,
hearing it,
mm, mm-hmm.
that you think there's some form.
Right. Like
Like,
the whole discover opens the form.
to anything.
Right.
And I'm clear about that, walking meditation, doing the dishes.
Right.
No one, no, there are no, Buddhist masters that are confused about this point.
Right.
No one's like arguing for,
Right. Mm,
that's, you were discovering it. Now, there may
mm,
be a form like I did the Goenka Vipassana retreat, and then in there's a a model, a specific form, but even inside that, you use that physical form to discover whatever's there.
Mm, mhm. Right.
You're using that to discuss, and then whatever shows up
Mm.
is what showed up. That's the perfect thing to show up. That's what you discovered. That's what you discovered. Whatever that was, that's what you discovered. Good.
That's
Now
right.
you discovered
Eureka.
that. How
That's
cool? Because
right.
you've never seen it before because it's a fucking moment.
Mm,
There is no past and there is no future. There's only what's now, and what's now is never happened before and will never happen again.
mm,
So we get to live inside that space. And I think, mastering that attitude, whether you do it in the context of a relationship with someone or whether you do it in a relation, whether you do that in a sexual relationship or you just do that in your business or you do that in your whatever, your friendships or your schooling or whatever it is you're taking on, because everyone's CEO of their life.
mhm,
Wherever you take it, those attitudes, whether you first of all, I completely encourage you to apply them to your sexual relationships because
mm.
you should come at me if you have a yeah, but I don't really want that in my sexual relationship, any of those aspects. Um, but tell me what, business relationship you don't want those in. Tell me where you would rather, have more guilt,
Ha.
right? Where you'd rather,
Ha.
have less pleasure.
Right, right, right.
Come at me with, where that wouldn't apply, where
Mm,
any of
mm.
those, right? Where I'd like to be less spontaneous. I'd like to
That's
have,
great.
more force. I want to
Right.
be more attached to a goal. And I know, so like I just said that, and I hear in my background, well, I'd like to be able to focus more on my goals and be less distracted, like an ADD kind of conversation that people have sometimes. There's
Right.
a ton of people that are now self-diagnosed with ADD,
Hmm.
um, which is fine. But I don't think that's necessary. See, I don't think that's enjoying spontaneity.
Hmm.
That's being distracted and then being guilty that you were distracted. I don't think it's necessarily enjoying the spontaneity, like really loving it. Like I think Richard Feynman. Are you familiar with Richard Feynman?
I know the name. You've brought him up before.
Yeah, physicist, really
Okay.
world class, famous, and brilliant, fun, interesting, potent, uh, insightful
Mm,
physicist. The opportunity to be distracted for him was, a way of exploring passions and, making connections that wouldn't otherwise be made.
mm,
And you could argue that, he's ADD or ADHD or whatever you want to call it, or he's just nurturing the whatever shows up in his space as an interesting phenomenon that he could apply curiosity to.
mm,
So even enjoying spontaneity um, is something you could use to break the cycle of hustle culture if you were interested in living in the moment and seeing what opens up about that.
mm. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I think I would just stop there just because I think it's been an hour. Right? I mean,
Yeah,
we
no,
don't
it's
ever
super.
have to stop. We're never stopping this conversation apparently because we're at 120 episodes but there's just a new depth. We could explore this even further. I have I'm going to end with a cliffhanger. So next
Mm,
week we should talk about the metaphor that actually my wife came up with when we were looking at how to explain how can I sharpen or tune the pitch I'm making to real estate agents about how to increase your sales through mindfulness. So I've worked out a great metaphor for that, which we can talk about next week.
nice. I got
Cliffhanger.
it. Oh my God, I can't wait.
Exactly. Thank you.
That's awesome. Hey, speaking of cohorts, do you your stand store is up, right?
Yes,
Stand.store.
and it's at the mindfulceo.com. I redirected that website to that. So the
Oh,
Mindful CEO now goes directly to the stand store.
nice.
Um, and so if you're a real estate agent or a sales professional and you're looking to get free mindfulness training, that's now on demand in the
Nice.
stand store, and there'll be other things for sale there, including, and ready, this is the pitch that I'm now making for real estate agents. If anyone's looking for a mentor, a
Yeah.
mindfulness mentor where you're interested in doubling your sales by, I can't tell if it's doubling your sales by doubling your presence, which is what's on the website there, or doubling your sales by losing your worry. I don't know how we want to say it, but if you're interested in doubling your sales without hustling harder,
Yeah.
um, I am willing to mentor you on a pay for performance model, meaning you don't pay me up front. I will mentor you for as whatever engagement we decide on. This is personalized. So I will mentor you and we will look at your sales for whatever, a quarter. Let's just say we do it for a quarter. Whatever your fourth quarter was, whatever the last 8 weeks were of this year. And if we don't beat, suppose, for example, we would look at I would mentor you for 8 weeks and we would look at the next 8 weeks of sales for last year.
Hmm.
And if you don't beat those 8 weeks of sales this year, you don't pay me at all. And if you beat those 8 weeks of sales, I
Yeah.
get a piece of anything over what you would have done last year.
Nice.
So I'm paid for performance and only on the increase.
Got it.
So
Nice.
if it doesn't work, you don't owe anything. If it works, you're only paying me on what you would have on what you produced above and beyond what you were going to produce anyway.
Money. Awesome.
Money.
Love it.
So you can't lose. And
Can't
I'm not
lose.
going to lose because, but I'm not going to lose because mindfulness works. I don't take everyone who applies, right? You got to make sure you're committed. If you're not going to do the work, I'm definitely not going to work with you. But if you're going to do the work, I have zero doubt because 1 + 1 = 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's all this is. So if you're
Yeah.
interested, hit me up. You can reach me
Nice.
at on the stand store. There's a book a call with me. You can go to the Mindful CEO and book a call with me, and we can talk about your situation. I can do this for your team.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can do it for you personally. We'll design a program. We'll come up with a solution that works for both of us.
Nice.
And I promise you, I either produce the result, you either produce the result, or you don't pay me. So there you go.
Love that. I always love those offers. All right. That's awesome. Check the show notes for the links and we'll catch y'all in the next episode. Peace out.
Peace out.